everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, GR Dad?
Good.
Excellent, excellent. The cocktail of the week this week is the King of Orange.
Whoa.
It's vodka, Grand Marnier, Campari, and lemon juice. We didn't do that last week, did we?
No.
King of Orange.
I think that's a funny name.
I pick all these because of the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, the King of Orange. We're drinking pina coladas, which has been our cocktail of the week twice before, so we're not doing it again.
But it's just so good. It deserves 2, but 3 is ridiculous.
It's I was listening back to this week's episode of the Agenda podcast, my non-Golden Ratio podcast with my friend Jen Coleslaw, the Jen-based podcast. And it was all about pina coladas and adjacent things this week.
Yeah, so if you like pineapples, coconuts, or pina coladas, that might be a good one for you.
Yep. Okay. Administrative Corner. If you want to get yourself a Voodoo Challenge medal, get that in. We got a few weeks before I need to put the order in.
I like Administrative Corner. a little slow there, sorry.
I always give a little pause.
Yeah, I was somewhere else.
The pinned tweet on our Twitter account has a link to all the info about the race. So if you want a medal, in a few weeks I'll put out some final alerts to get your medal orders in because I have to order them to get them shipped out in time. So you got time, but
start training for the Nerd Challenge.
The Nerd Challenge should not, take too much time.
Falling is hard. Falling without injuring yourself is hard.
Throw yourself to the ground. It can be a gentle lay down. He didn't fall. He's just
slumped.
Yeah, slumping.
He slumped.
Slumping. Yep. That's it for Administrative Corner.
Are we going to have ramblings?
Yeah, those come after dog updates, though.
No, I know.
I'm
just making sure.
We're doing the whole thing, as always. Dog updates, ramblings, Taste of the Keys, German Word of the Week, and Ingo Corner.
Ooh, Ingo Corner.
Always end with Ingo Corner.
All right.
So dog updates. Again, not too many this week, which is good. Everybody's kind of
the weeks where we've had a lot, it's usually because all the dogs have outbreaks of something.
Why don't you tell the story of Venkman and the hard-boiled egg?
Our counters here are not plumb or not level.
Things so roll on them.
And we have round things, right? We have a lot of citrus, and I put eggs, or you put round things on them along the wall, and they start rolling. Unless you're real careful, they start rolling towards the floor. So when I now take out hard-boiled eggs, I smush them on the counter so that they are not round and they don't roll.
Oh, I didn't know this was a thing.
There's a German story about the egg of Columbus, where supposedly it was a challenge for someone challenged Columbus, I don't know why, to stand an egg on end, to balance an egg on end. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was supposed to be on the equator. Maybe it was the solstice.
This is supposed to be the equinox. You're supposed to be able to balance an egg on end. And I did that once.
All this was lost in the story version that I heard. But the anecdote that I heard was that Columbus took a look at the egg and just smooshed it down on the end. And he's like, "You didn't say I had to be intact."
That guy's an asshole, but he's right about that.
But it may not have been Columbus, but there is a German saying if you've discovered the egg of Columbus, you've done a workaround. It's like, what's the knot thing? Gordian knot? Who dat?
I don't know who that was.
Hops.
Hang on. All right, I don't know if the microphones picked up the sound that we could hear in the headphones, but some dog was making little sounds like...
Oh, very good.
That was pretty accurate, right?
You do good sound imitations.
Anyway, they all seem fine, and they're all sleeping, so...
Anyway, the Gordian knot is someone trying to untie a real complicated knot, but he just took his sword and slashed it.
That would be my solution as well.
Yeah, there you go. Gordian.
All right.
I think that's right. I have done no research on any of this stuff. Anyway, this Columbus thing either. Anyway, I smush them on the counter so they don't roll.
I mean, that's smart.
Yeah, but I don't think I smushed this one hard enough. And it rolled. It started to roll, and I had my hands full with something else, like Dasiquin or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Vank heard it rolling and came running.
As she does.
And it dropped, and I don't even know if it hit the ground. Vank had just put the whole entire egg shell and all in her mouth and was crunching it as fast as she could. Yeah, just was super frantic about it, and got a free whole egg out of this thing.
Good job, Vink.
Which is, not among the things in the kitchen that the dogs have eaten, is pretty harmless.
Maybe we, instead of calling it the Columbus egg, can call it the Vinkman egg, because she's not a genocidal, narcissistic asshole, and yet also had a clever solution to an egg-based problem.
She sure cleaned it up before it got a problem, yes. The egg of Venkman.
So that's one of the dog update stories this week. The second one is we were driving home from dinner in Key West this week, and we came up on a red light, like a crosswalk. So we're kind of pulling up, and the light ahead of us is red. And as we're coming to a stop, the tennis court to our right, a ball flies over the fence into the street, bounces across the street against the wall, and rolls back into the street in the other lane, not the lane that I'm in.
Like almost hits our car.
Yeah, flies over there. And I was like, well, Hops would like that ball. And then the light turns green, and I'm like, fuck it. And I put the car in park, throw the door open, run into the other lane, grab the tennis ball, jump into my car, and continue on.
I know you were fine with it. I had a little bit of a conniption, but nothing happened, and it's Key West, and nothing was gonna happen.
I said I'm local color.
It was good.
People are on vacation to be like, did you just see that lady like jump out of her car and
right.
steal that tennis ball?
That will be a steal. It was in the public domain.
Yep, it was liberated from.
You're
the
not
tennis
giving
court.
it back. And then we had a whole discussion about how people don't use used tennis balls anyway to play tennis.
That's true.
They always open new cans that make the sound of like Coke soda cans.
Yep. Ooh, that's good. So I brought it home. I gave it to Hop. She wagged her tail. Guac promptly stole it. Everyone was happy. And then Nacho's on like double secret probation.
He's being let out on a leash as often as possible.
Yep.
I'll still take him out in the mornings when he's completely cray, because he's on a good day. He's very easily distracted by balls, or he can be kind of led by just throwing balls in the direction you want him to go, and he's powerless to resist. But on a bad day, he ends up in the water there too. It's as long as there's not too many other dogs, he's fine again. If I throw a ball, he'll come out of the water very quickly, like a very fast seal.
Yep. I do a lot of walks with the dogs, and so often Nacho gets to go first. He gets very excited for the walk. So I take him for his long walk. He absolutely gets the longest walk in the house. And then come home, and I take the leash off, and I look for another dog to put a leash on. He's like, how about me? And I'm like, Nacho, you just got back. And so I'll like leash up Remy or Guac and take them. And then when I bring him back, I want to get the third brown dog. And I'm just like, how about me? And sometimes I'm like, okay. And I leash him up. And then we go for another mile-long walk. All right, you guys. We just recorded the podcast all the way to the end, and then realized for some reason our podcast recording stopped at this point. And
so you just have to reconstruct it. It's fine. Just take our word for it. It was the best podcast we've ever done.
100% the best.
Too bad. Just kidding. Just kidding.
All right. So now we're just going to go back through all of it. So you're going to have to come up with new clever responses, Jared.
I don't know, man. I don't think I can even match my wittiness from before, because it was so witty. You'll just all have to trust me on this one.
All right.
So Nacho goes again.
Yeah, I think we finished the Nacho. So
are you sure?
Yeah, we're going to move on to ramblings.
Everyone else is fine?
Yep.
Everyone else is fine. Okay, ramble on. Ramble on, Gobek.
We have 3 stories.
That should be a song.
2 of them are about Florida man, and 1 is about a wannabe Florida man.
But it's not Taste of the Keys. These aren't Keys people, so it doesn't technically count as Taste of the Keys.
Correct. Yes,
I'm trying to keep up here.
We have a Keys story that I will tell in Taste of the Keys.
I am trying to keep up. These ramblings are new to me.
All right. The first story, we will do the wannabe Florida man. This was sent in by friend of the squad, Jeffrey. I don't know how to pronounce names from Louisiana, so I apologize. If you are from Louisiana, please correct my pronunciation of both this dude's name and the place.
Yeah, you're not looking at me with that because I
No.
tried to do a Louisiana accent in response to when you told me this story, and it was miserable.
No.
It was not even, it was really bad. It wasn't even Waterboy good. Go ahead.
No, it was a little offensive.
It was just such a fail. I think I sounded Irish, but go ahead.
Huma, I think, man, arrested in possession of too many sharks, meth in Oyster Bayou, LDWF says.
I like the priority there.
A Huma man was arrested for allegedly catching too many sharks and having meth, according to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Agents say Anuda Lorette, 44, was taken into custody on July 26 in Oyster Bayou, south of Lost Lake in Terrebonne Parish. I know Terrebonne Parish from the Skeleton Key movie.
Oh, yeah, that's the Kate Kate.
Yes, not Kate Winslet.
Kate, daughter of, yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
People are yelling at their podcast right now.
They know who it is better than I do.
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, Goldie
Hudson.
Hawn's daughter. That's what
I
it was.
didn't know she was Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell had a daughter.
I like her.
Kate Hudson.
Yeah. And Skeleton Key's a good movie. And it's set in Terrebonne Parish.
It's scary, though.
All right. So this guy, he was taken into custody south of Lost Lake in Terrebonne Parish. Officials say he was in possession of meth and drug paraphernalia as well as an undersized shark. Agents allegedly saw Lorette throw another shark overboard because he was over the limit. So, too small shark and over the limit shark and also meth.
The story doesn't answer the question, which it should, which is what's the limit and how many sharks did he have that were not a problem?
I mean,
doesn't it sound like he had a boat full of sharks and he was throwing one over that was over the limit?
He only had, well, that's a good point. He was in possession and undersized sharks, so maybe he had many not undersized sharks.
Right.
He just had one too many.
I mean, it sounds like you can take more than a shark. Or
somebody write in and tell us what the shark bag limit
is. The limit is not 0.
In Terrebonne Parish.
The limit does not exist.
The limit does exist because one more shark was over the limit. He was booked into the Terrebonne Parish jail.
I think it's nice that they take it as seriously as the Keys people.
Yep.
Protect those sharks, man. They need help.
All right. So that's the wannabe Florida man. We have 2 Florida man stories. One is that a Florida man had his house searched by the FBI this week.
He's really a New York man and living maybe in Florida, but not really.
There's a lot of those, though.
True. All these New Yorkers coming down here causing problems with their felonies.
Yep. And then we have this story. Florida man hospitalized after an alligator bit him in the face while he was swimming in a lake. All right. So we said this in the first time we tried to record this, but it's important to say it again. If you're in a lake...
since no one heard it the first time.
I know. If you're in a lake in Florida, anywhere in the wide open state of Florida, there's a lake, it's got an alligator in it. It's a puddle in your backyard, probably has an alligator in it.
And maybe more than one.
Often more than one.
Yeah. It's like if you're... bathtub water is a little cloudy. Probably an alligator in there.
You better check it. You better check it to be sure. People get alligators in their bathrooms, you guys.
Yeah. The bubble bath, not safe.
A 34-year-old man was rushed to the hospital after an alligator bit his face during a swim in a Florida lake.
He was trying to kiss it, though. He was either petting it or kissing it.
I would totally try to do that.
Yeah.
No. Melody Kilborn, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission Southwest Region Public Information Officer.
Too long.
Told USA Today.
Sorry, Melody.
It's definitely like 3 lines on her business card. Told USA Today in a statement that the man was bitten around 3:45 p.m. on August 4th at Lake Thanatasasa.
See, it can't be a big lake.
Thanatasasa near Tampa. Hang on, let's put Lake Thanatasasa in my Google map.
Can you spell it?
Well, I'm going to copy and paste it.
That sounds like something in
It's Thon
Greece.
Sasa.
You sure?
It's pronounced exactly like it's spelled.
All right.
It's an 839-acre lake.
Oh, that's big.
Named after Thanatasasa, Florida.
Well, that doesn't.
That's
That only
that's not
answers one
helpful.
level of the question.
Thanatisasa, Florida, has population 15,238.
That's a big lake, though.
The name Thanatisasa comes from the Seminole Creek words Ranoto, flints, and Sazv, S-A-S-V, Sazv, some, meaning the place was a source of valuable flint.
Okay, that's cool. It's a big lake, and it probably had a ton of alligators in it.
An 800-something acre lake has way more than one gator in it.
Because what did Melody say about lakes?
We're getting there.
Okay, well,
We're getting there.
Or gators or whatever. Melody with the long business card had something to say.
Yep. We're working our way through this. All right. So the guy got chomped. Contracted alligator trapper was sent to the lake. The Hillsborough County Fire Rescue transported the man, who was not identified, to Tampa General Hospital. He was listed as having, quote, injuries.
Yeah, I bet he had injuries. This is like hockey where he had upper body injuries.
Yeah. The incident marks yet another serious alligator attack this summer. An elderly woman died after falling into a lake with 2 alligators last month. And in May, a Florida man was killed by an alligator when searching for frisbees in a lake.
Yeah, well, I hope it was worth it for him for those freaking $3 frisbees to get chomped.
About 1.3 million alligators live in Florida, Ingo.
That's a lot of alligators. If there's 1,000 lakes, that means there's 1,000 alligators in every lake.
I like your math.
I'm 1,500, but we're in the ballpark. So
orders
that's
of magnitude here.
you got to jam a lot of alligators in each lake to make that come up.
Mm-hmm. You guys, don't go swimming in lakes.
Or if you do, know that there's an alligator watching you and maybe wants to chomp.
Yeah. Don't hang around by the edge. No. All right, so there you go. That's ramblings.
Oh, I have another rambling story.
Oh, okay. Do it.
You know how we have a sandy beach now?
We do.
We imported some sand.
Yep.
And so we can see tracks on there. We see like hoppers, 3-legged hopper tracks, and we see dog tracks, and we see lizard tails going straight back and forth, proving that Vink is not crazy when she barks all the time. But the other day, I came out in the morning and we saw the tracks of a deer.
Key deer tracks.
Deer tracks. So there's a deer they are very good swimmers. They swim around. So it looked like it was coming out of the water.
Awesome.
Up our seawall, and then who knows?
Maybe it used the ramp.
Didn't look like. Well, who knows? I mean, I don't know. The fact that the tracks were where they were, but they kind of disappeared because we only have so much sand. So I didn't track very carefully.
That's exciting.
But I bet it was eating the citrus trees that I try to protect.
Maybe we should get like a game camera.
Whoa.
Because then we'll catch like jerks coming onto our beach and also deer.
Yeah. If jerks come onto our beach, then our Taste of the Key story becomes relevant.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's do Taste of the Keys.
Yeah, which is like kind of ramblings, but more specific geographically.
All right. So Taste of the Keys story, I want to just preview. So here's how I picture this Taste of the Keys story. We're thinking about a movie. All right. And in this movie, I take the kitchen trash out of the kitchen and I bring in the bag out the front door and do this thing I do, which is I toss it over the balcony so it thumps down onto the ground.
Yeah, this is a documentary so far.
Yeah. This is the thing I do. And then you just, go downstairs and put it in the trash can.
Yeah.
But it's fun to throw it over the balcony.
Just saves, and it's easier than carrying it downstairs.
Absolutely. So I'm doing that. And in this movie, unbeknownst to me, you're under the house walking out just as I toss the bag over the balcony and it hits you in the head.
Looking up, squinting into the sun, and there comes the trash bag.
Yep. Conks you in the head, and you pass out and fall to the ground.
Because there's a bowling ball in there. You're throwing away the bowling ball.
Sure. And then the movie goes to the concussion dream that you have while laying on the ground that is predicting 5 years in your future.
I actually resist this. This is not my future. I don't want to be this guy.
Yeah.
Because I know where this is headed.
All right. So here's the story. That is a real story that happened this week and also in Ingo's future as he's being warned by his concussion dream.
In my semi-coma.
Couple arrested for attacking snorkeler. A 65-year-old man and 61-year-old woman, both of Marathon, were arrested Sunday after attacking a snorkeler near their residence during a dispute over the snorkeler's proximity to their waterfront property. Paolo and Katya were both charged with aggravated battery and battery.
Doesn't actually say battery.
It's just like the regular kind, but like there's no adjective.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Battery.
Basic
Straight
battery.
up battery. battery. The sheriff's office was called to a residence at approximately 1:30 p.m. regarding a battery. All involved in the incident were present, as well as multiple family members of the victim. The victim's family members were in a boat approximately 25 yards from the shore, and the victim, a 36-year-old St. Petersburg, Florida man, was bleeding profusely from the head.
From the battery.
Exactly. Before the victim was taken to Fisherman's Hospital, he told deputies he was snorkeling close to the dock and got into an argument with the two suspects over his right to snorkel in the area. He stated both suspects struck him in the head and other parts of the body, Paolo with some kind of pole and Katya with a fishing rod. The other people in the boat all corroborated the victim's story, and security camera footage also corroborated the victim's story.
Kind of more whipped him with the fishing rod, or, like thwack, thwack, thwack.
Paolo and Katya were taken to jail.
Yeah, and this leads into the whole thing about you're not supposed to be snorkeling within 300 feet of a residence around here.
You can't take lobsters like just from somebody's dock. It's not allowed.
And even if it were allowed, it's a jerk move, and you better like be nice about it.
Yeah, you're obviously not allowed to hit people with poles and make them bleed profusely if they do it. But like this fucker from St. Petersburg, tourist down here in our home, snorkels up to these people's house, and they're like, get the fuck away from my house. And he could just be like, hey, okay, sorry, I will continue snorkeling 50
There's a lot
feet
of
to the left
shoreline.
or right and do my snorkeling over there. And instead he's like, screw you guys, I'm allowed to be here. And they're like, no, you're not. And he's like, yes, I am. And then they're like, thwack, thwack.
He must have been really close or gotten in their face for them to be able to thwack him, right? I mean, he probably came up onto their dock, which is other problems. I mean, maybe I'm not that far from this, actually, now that I hear myself, now that I'm listening to myself.
But I mean, you're right. Like, how long would the pole have to be to thwack him and make him bleed? Like, if someone's yelling at you for snorkeling there, don't you at least, like, gently kick back 10 feet?
People are armed in Florida. Is this not a known thing, Mr. St. Petersburg?
Listen, literally, like, on our next door this week, people were complaining about this because regular lobster season opened this week. So there's been a lot of tourists down here being jerks. And so someone was complaining about, they're out at like midnight and they're shining flashlights into the water, but then also into your windows. Yeah. And are way up on people's property. And it's super annoying. And someone's like, yeah, we'll just take your shotgun out there and rack it, and they're going to find someplace else to go real soon. Like, that was literally his shotgun was his plan.
Yeah. And, so I think getting whacked with a fishing rod might be the best thing. We had people out here, but Vink and those, you were up running your race, but it was like Vink and the dogs were going crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was a spotlight, right? Like millions of watts of power just being shined willy-nilly, moving around, casting really weird shadows up here and stuff. I mean, I was up, and they started at midnight. Like, I'm a fuddy-duddy, but I'm usually in bed before midnight, or I'd like to be. But they were up around like till 1:30, roaming around out there. So I let the dogs out so they'd bark, which created a little bit of a buffer because they realized someone is in this house.
The tourists, the lobster tourists are really bad. They're real assholes about the fact that they're like in somebody's neighborhood, right? It's not like you're at a resort. You're just in somebody's neighborhood.
They're not in the ocean, and this isn't some reef or something. They're people's backyards, houses, kids, whatever, trying to sleep.
And I don't even care. Like, if you're on the other side of the channel, I don't even care. But like, why are you up under the dock and like up on my seawall? Like, basically in my backyard.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, there you go. That's Taste of the Keys. Jared Dad wakes up from his concussion, like pass out, and is like, oh, I just had this terrible dream of the future.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to whack anyone with
jail.
I don't even have a fishing rod.
There you go.
And then I go, Jen, you chucked your bowling ball bag at me.
And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm like, well, hopefully we'll never have to do that again.
I think we can turn this into a script.
Definitely. You're heading that way.
All right. What's the German word of the week?
Oh, I was going to mention that there was a different conch life story recently where they seized like a bunch of meth, like pounds of it, and they displayed it as they do. But it was like on the.
Such a cop.
It was a lot of meth, and then there was also an undersized lobster. I think was the.
Oh, there's
the
so
kicker.
many.
But it was charged about the same. Like
That's
it had
right.
the same dignity, which was 3 pounds of meth.
It's like this
and
guy
one
with
undersized lobster.
the shark and meth.
Yeah. But this was a lot of meth. I mean, it was a lot of meth. I think it was a Gwen Filosa story.
Oh, so that wouldn't be in Conch Life. That would
be a Miami Herald. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, that's just to say we can match that shark story with a lobster. Undersize. There was some story where, I mean, apparently every boat that gets checked has undersized and over the limit lobsters because they're all jerks. Nobody cares.
Yeah. Follow the damn rules, you guys.
But some story was, the Fish and Wildlife officer came on board and said, these are all undersized. And a member of the boating party helpfully showed the officer, he told him he'd measured it correctly and showed him how he was measuring it, like from the eye socket, from the tip of the eyeball, which is another 3 inches, back to the carapace. And the Fish and Wildlife guy's like, no, you don't include the eyes. You know this.
There's like...
You're making it worse.
So many helpful pictures. It's
like so easy.
There's no way to not know. There's diagrams fucking everywhere of how you measure the lobster. And you're required to have a lobster measurer in the water with you.
Yeah.
Like, there's no oh, I didn't know.
I don't think you need a license, though. And this is
oh,
the
yes,
problem.
you do.
You do.
You absolutely
license?
Have to have a lobster license.
Oh, good.
Yep.
I mean, apparently there's no test.
It's got to be printed on there, though, right? Like,
I mean, it's completely, yeah. I mean, it makes me angry because I know in Maine they take this so much more seriously and it's so much more professionally handled.
Yep. All right, we're getting into boring
ramblings.
Old man rant.
I went back to ramblings.
No. It's an old man rant, which is different than a rambling.
Well, you had this whole dream sequence.
I was Taste of the Keys. I was reading a news story.
All right, fair enough. All right, German word. I accept. Last week we had that story about coconut crabs.
Yeah.
Some friend of the pod pointed out that the German word for coconut crabs is Palmendiebe.
Oh.
Which is palm thieves.
Diebe.
Palmendiebe.
That's nice.
Which
sinister.
Kind of implies that they're stealing coconuts, which they don't eat, probably.
They don't.
But maybe they're just thieves that hang out in
like
coconuts on the trees.
Palmendiebe. I like it.
Makes it seem very sinister.
It does. It really does.
Besides their just giant size.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, Palmendiebe.
All right. Finally, it's time for Ingo Corner, where you can talk about whatever you want. I guess I could cut and paste your boring old man rant into Ingo Corner, but I'll leave it where it was. You may not continue. I prohibit continuing the old man rant, but you can talk about anything else.
Now I'm verklempt because everything's going to be an old man rant. So
it's okay. People want to hear it, and then the people like me who don't can just skip to the end.
Of the rant? It's not even a rant.
Of the podcast. That's why you put Ingo
Here's
Corner
an old
at the
man
end.
Reflection.
Okay.
When I was growing up...
That's how they all start.
And still, to some extent, I'm still surprised this mentality still holds. A lot of people, men, think that the ocean is just like an infinite resource and you don't have to worry about it. People throw trash in there. People overfish it. People don't care. I am very pleased that the new mentality is we kind of got to take care of it. So I'm always surprised when I see, trash washing up on our shore or people still overfishing because it's all infinite, or people dumping their, sewage in there and stuff. I'm just like, it's not infinite and it's not, we got to take care of it.
Yeah.
It's not like a giant, thing you can throw into and everything gets forgotten and ignored. It washes up on my shore.
Save the ocean.
Save the ocean, yes. And I'm glad that's more accepted these days. I wish it were most accepted, but still.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Good.
Now that I have a vested interest in this.
Anything else for Ingo Corner?
No.
Okay. Good. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and I don't know. I guess we're the only ones who had to deal with the frustration of our first recording getting deleted.
This one was even better.
It's superior.
So smooth.
Which tells you how good the first one was.
So smooth.
All right.
So good at this.
Until next week, Slava Ukraini.
Yes.
And don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Don't act like an alligator.
Bye.
Bye.